Welcome back, Vancouver, to the Institute of Urban Ecology. In our previous episodes about the coastal temperate rainforest, I introduced you to a lot of the native plants that make up this special ecosystem. We are living in and among a real rainforest. Unfortunately, a lot of that rainforest around Metro Vancouver is under a lot of pressure because it's fragmented and surrounded by urban development. One of those pressures is the introduction of foreign plants and animals. Now, a lot of these foreign species have learned to coexist with our native flora and fauna, but some of them are causing some pretty serious issues. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about some of the invasive plants that are threatening the biodiversity of our urban ecosystems. I'm also going to show you some things that you can do at home to help protect our urban ecosystems. So let's get started. Native species are plants and animals that occur here naturally. They've evolved here over thousands and millions of years, and they're perfectly adapted to the climate and conditions here. Introduced species are plants and animals that were brought over to British Columbia by humans, either intentionally or accidentally. The honeybee, for example, is an introduced species. It was brought here by European settlers for their pollinating abilities, their honey, and their wax. Invasive species are introduced species that have escaped into our wild populations and are a threat to our natural biodiversity. Locally, you might be familiar with the European chafer beetle or fire ants. However, introduced plants also have the potential to become invasive species. Invasive plant species are a problem because they can outcompete our native plants. Invasive species are often fast growing and they can tolerate a wide range of soil and light conditions. They may not be edible by the native wildlife here, and they can reproduce really quick with a lot of seeds. And now invasive species can be harmful to our sensitive ecosystems because they can do things like alter stream flow, they can increase soil erosion, and they may even be toxic to humans or animals. On top of that, some invasive species are more flammable and can increase the chance of wildfires, and some of them are strong enough to cause some pretty serious damage to buildings and concrete pavement. The Invasive Species Council of British Columbia estimates that the Canadian government spends approximately $2.2 million per year on managing invasive plant species. An additional $7.5 million is spent on managing invasive pests, and they estimate that the crop losses to farmers due to invasive plant species alone has cost the BC agriculture industry over $50 million. Here are some of Metro Vancouver's biggest invaders. Butterfly bush was introduced as a popular addition to flower gardens as it can grow in very poor soil conditions and produces many beautiful flowers that attract a lot of pollinators. Unfortunately, butterfly bush easily escaped the urban garden and spread rapidly by its many wind-borne seeds. Butterfly bush displaces native vegetation in disturbed open areas along coastal forest edges, roadsides, and especially on sunny streamsides and riverbanks. English holly was a popular ornamental evergreen shrub. It has become a serious invasive species, however, because it can tolerate both sunny and shady habitats in the coastal temperate rainforest, and it's spread quickly by birds who eat its berries. Holly's roots are especially problematic as they can easily outcompete native plants for nutrients and water. Native plants often die from dehydration when holly is around. English ivy was introduced because it looks so cool climbing up the side of a building. English ivy grows rapidly and needs very little water or light once it's established. It can even grow during the winter. Unfortunately, it quickly forms a dense monoculture ground cover that suppresses and excludes other vegetation, and it's unsuitable for most wildlife habitat. When it climbs up a native tree, English ivy can even deprive the tree's leaves of sunlight and eventually kill the entire tree. Himalayan blackberry was introduced for its yummy berries. Birds and other wildlife help spread the Himalayan blackberry into our native rainforest by eating the berries and spreading the seeds in their droppings. This invasive blackberry forms large, dense, impenetrable thickets that can limit movement of large animals, take over stream channels and stream banks, and block land animals like deer and bears from reaching sources of water. Even something as cute as common periwinkle can become a serious invasive. Periwinkle is a small evergreen plant with showy white or purple flowers. This invasive plant is capable of forming dense mats, which suppress native plant species from growing and seedlings from developing. Japanese knotweed roots spread rapidly underground and can crack pavement and house foundation. The knotweed can spread super fast from its many seeds, and even small root or stem fragments left on the ground will quickly grow into new plants. Knotweed likes the moist soil and sun exposure alongside riverbanks. However, a single plant can grow up to 65 meters wide and easily block out native vegetation and lead to stream bank erosion. We need all eyes on the ground when it comes to invasive species removal. By watching this video, you've already taken a great first step into helping stop the spread of invasive species. To discover even more invasive species, check out the Invasive Species Council of British Columbia's website. Just follow the link in our video description down below. If you discover one of these invasive species in your garden and pull it out, do not put it into your green bin. Instead, wrap it tightly in a black garbage bag until the plant dies. Seeds can still survive in the bag, however, so if possible, burn the dead plant, and if not, ask your city about proper disposal methods. You can also participate in an invasive species removal project. You can volunteer directly with the Invasive Species Council of British Columbia or look for a community group near you. The number one thing, though, that you can do to help stop the spread of invasive species is to plant native species instead. Check out the Grow Me Instead handbook produced by the Invasive Species Council of British Columbia and the Horticulture Advisory Committee. Check out the links in our video description to find even more information on invasive species and native plant solutions for your home garden. Coming up, we're going to have another video all about native plants for your home garden and give you some more tips on how you can turn your own garden into its own little urban oasis. Until next time, Vancouver, thanks for doing your part to help protect our urban ecosystems. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.